A bottle of Jack Daniels might cost you $25 at the liquor store. But when you're at a bar, that same $25 will only get you like 3 or 4 shots of Jack, not a whole bottle. And last night, I wanted to get Five Guys for dinner. And usually when me and my wife drive to Five Guys and pick it up, we spend like $40. But last night we got it delivered because I did yard work all day and I was tired. And we paid $75 for Five Guys. On my local steakhouse menu, the tomahawk for $149 makes me feel like I'm getting a great value when I buy the ribeye for $91. And inversely, when I go to the movie theater, I never order that medium popcorn for $12.50 because the large is only 50 cents more. Now, I'm sorry if you're hungry already, but I needed to get these examples off to prove to you that price anchors work. And more importantly, the way that we perceive prices as consumers can be manipulated based on, other closely associated costs, sure, but more often depending on where you are, depending on what you're experiencing in your life on any given day, even depending on how you feel. All changes our perception of price. And if you're a marketer and you're not anchoring your prices throughout your marketing funnel, your customers are going to anchor your prices for you. And most likely they're going to compare it to the last thing they bought on Amazon, and you're going to lose that fight every time. So that's what we're going to talk about today on Tactical and Practical, how to anchor the prices of your ecom store. And it's not just the usual way that you might think where you put a higher priced product next to a lower one. We actually just did that on our highest traffic landing pages and got a big win. That definitely works. And shout out to our sponsor, IntelliGems, for the pretty blue bars here. This is how we split test everything. And if you're not split testing your website, you're losing money. So go to intelligems.io. Let them know I sent you. You can start making more money today. But that example that I just showed on that pretty IntelliGems price test is just one way to test prices. We put a higher price SKU first on this collection page. The second watch is a much lower price, and it's our top selling watch, and it increased conversion rate, and it actually increased AOV of that page. That's one way to price anchor, and that's great. But there's 3 more that people don't use as often. If you don't feel like you can just jack up the price of one of your products to put next to your hero SKU, that's fine. But you can do it through bundles too. If you scroll through our website for any time, you're going to see that most of our collection pages actually start with a bundle offer. We've bundled together a handful of watches. In some cases, we pair a watch with sunglasses or other accessories. But it's a great way to show something that's a really steep cost, that's really above and beyond what your most popular product is. So, we have a page where people land on it. The first thing they see is a bundle of 5 watches that cost $1,500. Next to it is a watch for only $500. And that watch, although it is one of the more expensive watches on our site, that watch looks like an amazing deal because it's only a third of the cost of the bundle we showed you beforehand. So price anchors can be used on a single SKU or used as a single SKU, but you can also create bundles to specifically anchor your prices, and we've had a ton of success with that. Next up, don't just anchor one price to a different, higher priced thing. Anchor your price to the rarity and the scarcity of that product. Whiskey brands are great at that. You can buy a bottle of whiskey for $20 or $100 or $2,000. And I'll tell you what, the ingredients in the bottle often aren't that different. Sometimes the process is different. Sometimes it ages for a little bit longer. But depending on your palate, you probably don't even like the $2,000 bottle more than the $50 bottle. But the reason they can sell it for that, and the reason then it'll end up on eBay for multiple thousands of dollars, is because it's rare. It's exclusive. Not everybody can get their hands on it. And you can use this for your ecom store too. We actually just put this little, we call it a PGT, a product grid thumbnail. We put this little graphic on our site that shows an old watch that's not for sale anymore. and we gray it out and it says sold out on it, just adding this to our landing page got a huge increase in conversion rate because our customers are no longer comparing the price of this watch versus just how bad they want it. They're now comparing the watch to how they might feel if they miss out on this watch. And that's a much different equation in somebody's head. So just by showing a watch that they can't have anymore makes them less price sensitive to all the watches that are currently in stock because they know original grain watches are rare. They know if they wait too long, this one could be sold out too. All right. Last thing you can do to anchor your prices is to reframe the purchase entirely. Don't sell the physical product. Sell what it means to your customer. Watches are the perfect example of this. My original grain watch tells the exact same time as your Rolex. But Rolex buyers are not in the market for a timekeeping device. Rolex buyers are looking for status, and they're looking for a way to signal success to their peer group because they're so insecure. But we'll get into that on another episode. But they're not buying a watch. They're not buying something that tells time. They're buying something that tells their success story. That's why, in part, that's part of the reason why they can charge thousands and tens of thousands of dollars more than we can, because the brand Rolex symbolizes something much more valuable to a specific cohort of customers. Now, the way that we use this to our advantage, and the way that you can too, is we reframe the purchase from what they're buying to why they're buying it. During our Christmas sale, we are advertising towards women that are buying original grain watches for their husband, right? And these women, let me tell you, they do not care about the movement in the watch. They don't even really care about the material it's made from. What these women are searching for, whether it's conscious or subconscious, is up for debate. But what they're really searching for is a way to show their husband he's appreciated, he's seen, he's valued. So our ads sell that feeling, sell that meaning. Our ads say, show your man he's worth every second because he's earned a watch as rugged and dependable as he is. I'm not talking about the gears. I'm not talking about the whiskey barrel wood that's inlaid in it. I'm now talking to a woman who's having a hard time showing her appreciation for a husband that works hard for the family. A husband who's faithful, a husband who's self-sacrificing, a husband who never complains about the burden he's got on his shoulders every day. And a lot of these women don't know how to articulate their appreciation. They can't do anything to make up for everything he's done for the family. So now, when I'm not trying to sell them a watch, when I'm trying to sell them a way to finally adequately communicate their appreciation for their husband, they're not comparing $400 to something they could buy on Amazon. They're comparing my $400 to the feeling of their husband being unseen and unappreciated and undervalued. And $400 is worth way more to them than risking their husband goes another day feeling underappreciated. So anchor your prices to some other costs, absolutely, but anchor your prices to other things going on in your customers' lives. Anchor your prices to their feelings, to their emotions, to their experiences. Because if you don't anchor your prices for them, they're going to anchor your prices to something that they just bought on Walmart.com, and you're going to lose that fight 10 times out of 10. Thanks so much for listening to Tactical and Practical. I will see you next time.